because there have been reports about dogs sniffing fentanyl and then dying from it. This one guy jumped on my windshield and bashed it in with a skateboard. I literally was just like, what am I supposed to do? When you don't see people wanting to work, when you don't see people caring because they can get it subsidized by the government, like, why would you work? Why would you do anything to better yourself? It used to be like Portlandia, the TV show or whatever. It turned into a drug-infected wasteland. We're spending like $40,000 on each head. That $40,000 is just going to CEOs and execs. $24 billion went to California since 2019, and this year it went from 30,000 homeless people to 181,000. It multiplied by like 6 times. And then the government's just telling us that it's normal, and if they want to live this way, then they can live this way. No, they can't. It's not good for society. Don't you see that it's because of the liberal policies? You live in a conservative town with me now because he doesn't want to be around the crime, but he still calls himself a liberal because he wants to be the good guy. The good guy. What is that? Yeah, I voted for Trump. There has to be a change.
These people, we were just talking to this guy over here. She uses meth, he uses fentanyl. All day today, all we've seen is the majority of people have been walking around have been people that are homeless.
I'm actually weary about walking my dog down the street because there have been reports about dogs sniffing fentanyl and then dying from it. That's one of the reasons I actually don't bring my dog to Portland anymore. I'll bring him here just because it's a little bit more naturey and stuff. The issue with Oregon, though, everyone talks about being a bigot. There's so much bigotry. It's the bigotry of low expectations. When you don't see people wanting to work, when you don't see people caring because they can get it subsidized by the government, like, why would you work? Why would you do anything to better yourself? There's absolutely no reason. So one of the issues that is really going on in Oregon is that a lot of the foster kids that are aging out of the system are becoming homeless instantly, and then they become drug addicts, and then the problem, it just becomes larger and larger. I love that what you're doing because you're talking to the homeless people and you're actually getting out talking about it, because a lot of people here are just like, oh, there's no problem. There's nothing going on here. What are you talking about? It's always been this way. And it's like, I have been living in Oregon. It used to be like Portlandia, the TV show or whatever. It turned into a drug-infected wasteland. There's no getting past it. I'm doing something kind of weird, but I've been working on it for the last 5 years. I'm creating a transitional home for foster teens that are aging out. They'll be between like the ages of 18 to 26. It's crazy because it's just like all these kids are really needing the assistance and the step up. Yeah, I voted for Trump. There has to be a change. The going on right now is so crazy, and if you mention it, there's people that are like, clean needles save lives, and it's like, no, they don't. We need to start locking the people up on drugs, and then they can either get sober or they can stay in jail, because it's affecting the people in the civilization. This one guy, because I do gig work or whatever, I was driving, this one guy jumped on my windshield and bashed it in with a skateboard. I literally was just like, what am I supposed to do? I called the cops. The cops were like, do you want us to write a report? And I was just like, yes, I do, because if they don't write a report, then it's not part of the statistics in Oregon, and because they're not adding it to the statistics, it looks like the crime rate's going down, and that's part of the problem. They're not writing these reports down. The cop was telling me, well, even if we do write a report, they're going to be out within a couple hours because the jails are overrun. And it's like, no, you create more jails if that's the issue. You don't just let the 10% that are causing all the crimes back out onto the streets so they can reoffend and reoffend and reoffend. There's so many different layers to it. They need to create more jails. It's not, oh, we just let people out. No.
Title and the thumbnail of this video is like, what the heck happened to Oregon, and is it fixable? Do you think it is fixable here?
There's so many bubbles. The elites are living in their own bubble, like the other people on your stream were talking about. They're living in their own bubble, and they don't have to be part of this. So when they're voting, they feel like they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, and they genuinely don't care. When I bring up issues to people, one person called me bitter because I was getting angry about the foster care system and how the government is treating. But if you talk about Ukraine, we're not calling people talking about Ukraine bitter. We're not calling people with the 4B movement bitter. We're not calling all these other people that are fighting for something bitter, because I'm wanting to fight for the foster care system and the foster teens and all that, because my parents were drug addicts, and I could see what happens when you are into drugs. Once you get into drugs, you have to dig yourself out. You're trying to get back to the normal level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because all these people are starting from nothing now.
We all start from here,
and
they go down here. They're just trying to get back up here. Once you start doing drugs, you're just gonna try and live a normal life. It's depressing, and then the government's just telling us that it's normal, and if they want to live this way, then they can live this way. No, they can't. It's not good for society. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, I agree, and I think it's stupid when they give like needles to people and stuff that enables it even more, right? Yeah, Brooker T. Jones wants to say something really quick.
I just want to say something because how you said, if you stand up for it and if you say, no, this is wrong, we shouldn't be doing this, then all of a sudden you're the bad person.
I am. Why can't you just accept this?
Yeah, and that's what I faced and Nick has faced. And as we've, done a lot on the border and the crimes and the trafficking and all of that stuff.
The human trafficking is awful.
And then it comes out that you're the bad person because you're talking about it.
I'm always the bad person. Yes, I am bitter, actually. Because this is making me bitter because I'm having to live in this. I had some dude jump on my windshield and bust it open. That makes me bitter. What am I supposed to act like? Not bitter?
And what's crazy is that, people will say I'm bitter too. They call me horrible names. But I'm not bitter. And I love America and I love people. But we have a passion.
I love this country.
I do too. And I have a passion that we want to change it. And the only way we can really show what is going on in this country is if we do what we're doing. Because the news isn't going to show you. The media is not going to show you. And of course, we're playing it as we're the bad people because we're actually showing what is going on in America and trying to change it.
I'm fighting for the foster kids because they can't fight for themselves. It's just so frustrating when we're giving all this money, and the problem isn't getting fixed. We're spending like $40,000 on each head for the homeless problem in Oregon. That $40,000 is just going to CEOs and execs. You can see that the money, it's not being accounted for. $24 billion went to California since 2019 and this year. It went from 30,000 homeless people to 181,000. It multiplied by like 6 times. It's absolutely unacceptable. And people are just like, oh, well, just give them more money, give them more money. And then the food banks. I don't even want to start on the food banks.
The more money goes to the people that are working for the government, doesn't go toward these people can't even go and shelter. Yeah. No. And the shelter here. I read that 2,000 homeless people will be sleeping in the streets because there's not enough shelter for people.
Yeah, no one cares. And it's just more money, more money. But the thing about the food banks are one of the worst things. They're giving them processed foods. It's all GMOs. And I know that a lot of people eat GMO processed foods, but it's just like that's not helping this already problem. I was volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club for a while, the low income Boys and Girls Club, and they would give them a third meal because their family couldn't provide them sometimes a third meal. And their third meal would literally be Doritos, pizza, greasy. This isn't helping them. You say that they have ADD and it's because of all this that you do to them. It's not because they actually have ADD. If you let them run around instead of being on a computer, they have computers at Boys and Girls Clubs now. They're not even playing. They're on the computer doing stuff. They're not running around. That's why they have ADD. Sorry.
Crazy. No, but I love it. We need more people that are passionate. That's a problem. Everyone's just so used to sitting back or staying in their bubble, living in their house up there and saying there's not a problem, and there is.
Even the people I surround myself with, my entire family's liberal. My sister's liberal. This is an ongoing issue. And even my roommate is a liberal, and he's like, oh yeah, I moved out of Portland because I didn't want to be around that. Don't you see that it's because of the liberal policies? You live in a conservative town with me now. He lives in a conservative place because he doesn't want to be around the crime, but he still calls himself a liberal because he wants to be the good guy. The good guy. What is that? What is the good?
They're not good guys. If you're allowing this to happen, you're not a good guy.
He's like a Bill
especially
Maher
if
liberal,
you're in.
You know what I mean? I understand the old school liberal thing. That was fine at that time, but it's not this anymore. No. We have to conserve the country. And that's the thing about liberals. They love the government. They hate the country. Conservatives love the country. They hate the government because it's so bloated. That's the difference. Sorry, I'm done.
I love that.